The following is a presentation of the Match Talk Podcast Network. It's time for the ODU Wrestling Monarch Mattcast, a show dedicated to all things related to the Old Dominion Wrestling program. On the web at monarchmattcast.com. Now, here's your host, three-time National Wrestling Writer and Broadcaster of the Year, and 2004 ODU alumnus, Jason Bryant.
Episode 52 of the Old Dominion Wrestling Monarch Mattcast. Today our guest is the newly anointed associate head coach at Old Dominion University, Daryl Thomas. In his second year, you have already ascended to number 2, and it's a busy time for you. You're about to get married.
That is right. How's it going, Jason?
So I got to know, I'm somebody who, with my wife and I, we lived apart while we were in the engaged stage, and wedding planning, when you're not exactly right next to the person. I mean, how troublesome and how nerve-wracking has that process been?
Well, it depends if you want the truth or want me to fabricate a little bit.
Yes, because you have your lovely bride to be in the car with you, so you have to be careful with your responses.
That's right. No, I mean it was pretty straightforward. She handled basically everything, and I just kind of gave my input where it was asked, and maybe a little bit too much at the end here, but she did the most. She did most of it, so it's been pretty easy.
A lot of smiling and nodding.
Exactly.
And you're trying to cram this in. It's a busy time. We're just coming off the Junior Nationals in Fargo, and those who have listened to this show before know that Old Dominion coaches have long had an influence there on various staffs. We saw Steven Rodriguez, who is the newest member of the coaching staff, coaching with Team New York. You were there again, coaching with Team Illinois. And we'll get to that in a second. But right now, we just want to get to the new position. Was it kind of a surprise that you're now the associate head coach, you're the number 2 guy in just your second year with the program?
I mean, yeah, it was a huge surprise. I just I'm the type of person to just keep my head down, work and do my part, and trying to add to the program, wherever I could in whatever area, and a little bit of a blessing in disguise. I'm excited to move forward with the position, and learned a ton from Dixon, and still bounce questions and ideas off him to this day. So I know he was a huge figure for the program, and he handled a lot of things in terms of paperwork and just day-to-day things, and just excited to try to fill his shoes as much as I can, but also bring my own twist and continue to bring my own flavor to the position as well.
Yeah, guy's been there 13 years. I mean, he's been there every year except for the first year with Coach Martin. And when the time came to Dixon to pop up and go to his alma mater, and what were some of the first things you had when you realized, okay, I'm now in your old job. What do I do? How do I handle Steve?
that was a big one. But obviously they kind of had a little bit of ESP going on, and kind of being able to read each other's minds and things like that. And it's really just a lot of the paperwork and understanding exactly all the inner workings of the program, budget and travel. Travel is the biggest thing that I've kind of had to overtake and kind of start to learn on the fly really quickly. I think that was the biggest thing, and understanding the budget, more in depth, and really just whatever Steve needs me to do, that Dixon, used to take care of. But he's been great. He's been Dixon left me his old flash drive, and really couldn't ask for a better situation to step into as far as having the resources needed to be successful in the position.
Please tell me he left the Ninja Turtle picture.
I haven't seen the Ninja Turtle picture, but I'll have to ask him where he stashed it.
He might have taken, that was a special thing.
He did leave, though. He did leave his diploma. So Steve's kind of holding that hostage. I don't know for what, but he's holding that hostage.
Be like, hey, you might need this to prove you graduated. But, this kind of goes into our next question is that first year in Norfolk, what did you really learn about not just the program, but yourself as a coach in this role that you came into before you even ascended to the new position?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, it took some time to get used to Steve. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just learning to continue to be flexible and just kind of, I'm always evaluating and just watching and kind of learning different things. Even if I'm not asking questions, I'm always kind of, okay, that's how Dixon did that. I may not have always asked questions, but or okay, that's how Steve likes to do this or that, or whatever, how we could better work together and things like that. But really just kind of taking it all in now. Like you said, a year in, I kind of understand the way he does things and how he likes to operate, but and kind of exactly what my role is. Now, obviously, it's changing a little bit more, but just having a better understanding of the guys and what each guy needs to be successful, what I need to do in order to be successful and continue to do my part for the program. It's just a little bit more comfortability now going forward. So I'm excited.
When you get to a higher role, there's, of course, you've got to take the NCAA certification, the tests and things of that nature. Not something you're unfamiliar with, but is there really that big of a separation in responsibilities between, the number one assistant, the number two assistant, and a volunteer assistant type of position?
I think every program is probably different on what duties they give each person. Obviously for Dixon, he kind of was, he dealt with administration and probably a little bit more than maybe somewhere else, that number one position. So those are things that I've had to kind of step into a little bit more, is communicating with administration a little bit more on scheduling or budget or different little things like that. Whereas in the number two position, I didn't really have to do those things, but now I have. So I think that's a big difference. Other than that, at the end of the day, wrestling's wrestling, and still working with the guys. I mean, just a little bit more paperwork and things like that.
One guy that's come on the staff, and you can hear him on episode 51 of this one. It was the one we did just before, talking to Daryl here. Steven Rodriguez coming to the staff. He was an All-American at Illinois, your alma mater. You guys knew each other back when you were both part of the Fighting Illini. And he talked a little bit about how you reached out. And why did you reach out to Steven, and why do you think he would have been a good fit for the staff? And why is he a good fit for the staff?
Yeah, I mean, super excited about Steven and being able to get him on board. And like you said, you don't expect things like this, and everything kind of happens for a reason. So I know he was out of Stanford, and we kind of talked a little bit before he made that decision to go out there, because we were teammates and trained together. So I know what he's about, what his mindset is, and how passionate he is about the sport. And we talked a little bit before he decided to go out there. He had a couple options, and then after going there, he was back home coaching in New York at his home club in high school. So it kind of just was like perfect timing, because he wasn't, he was embedded in what he was doing there, but it wasn't at the college level. He still had the itch. And I kind of knew that from talking to him at NHSCA's a little bit. Not that the position was even open then, but just we hung out and got together and just kind of talked. That's kind of what we do when we're in the same vicinity or area, and just kind of talked and got together. I knew he still had the itch to be at the college level, and what an opportunity for that opened up, and just kind of worked out that way. I know he was also looking at other places too, so we looked at quite a few other people that were awesome. And, unfortunately, fortunately, we were able to get Steven.
Now, we talked about his I guess the term growth spurt might be overstating it a little bit, because he went on full feed. But when you guys were training partners, you guys were the same weight class. I mean, you guys scrap now. He's got some size on you now. Yeah,
he's big now. He looks big, but he's actually pretty light. And what's great about that, what's so awesome about his, growth and weight, is that he's been a little guy, or he's been a lighter weight, and kind of just got big, and now so he can cover a wide variety of weight classes. He knows wrestling at a high level, and just like, again, his mindset and the way that he wrestled with the high pace, we come from the same thing and same preachings and beliefs. So I know he'll fit right in with the program.
Shifting gears, both of you again were out in Fargo at the Cadet and Junior Nationals. You've been coaching with Team Illinois for a number of years. And for those unfamiliar, this is the international styles of wrestling at the age group level. So we're looking at 8th graders through 10th graders at the cadets, 9th through 12th graders, graduated seniors in some cases at the junior level. This is basically the building block for the Olympic movement. And your home state of Illinois has just been basically a buzzsaw for the last decade in the international styles, especially Greco. But when you look at the pipeline, and it is a pipeline now, there's 8 Illinois guys on the roster at Old Dominion, and then being able to try to tap into that New York system that Rodriguez has access to. When you go back and coach with your state teams, less of it's about recruiting, and a lot of it's kind of giving back. But what's it mean for you to go back and coach Team Illinois in Fargo each year?
Oh, I mean, it's an honor to be able to have that opportunity to go back and coach for Team Illinois, because I know there's a ton of people that that don't have that opportunity. So I'm grateful for that, and it's a testament to the upper administration that runs the whole beast. Don Reynolds and Oster, all those people, and all those people at the top that run that whole show. So again, it's awesome to be able to be a part of that. I want to make sure I try to make it to that every year, where it's possible.
And what's also interesting is there's not just college coaches from one particular school. Ray Blake is an Illinois native. He's coaching out of Stanford. You got a bunch of different coaches over the years that have been on staff. Yeah. And how do you guys cohabitate, I guess would be the word, when, you're all got those kids in your sights and you're trying maybe, hey, I like this kid. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say it too loud because that guy over there knows that this kid's pretty good too.
No, yeah, that's definitely how it is sometimes. But a lot of those guys are great friends. I mean, you got Jeremy Spates from Southern, they're coming into the MAC now. And Dominic Moyer, Tyler Parasma from Northern, they're in the MAC. Like you said, Ray Blake, Andrew Howell up at Northwestern. Just everybody, they're all really good people. And at the end of the day, you control what you can. You can't do any of the dirty recruiting and any of that stuff. But you just control what you can with the kids that you're looking at. Hopefully the chips fall where they may, and hope they're in your favor. But if not, you move on to the next one and keep grinding it out. So, but like I said, those guys, it's fun to hang out with those guys, and we're all a part of it for the same reason at the end of the day, and that's to help Team Illinois be the best they can be.
Yeah, and Greco just setting more records, which is it's scary to see how good like that state organization has things, and it may not win every style every year, but oh man, just the kids churning out, and you're seeing them in college bats. Of course, 8 of them are at Old Dominion. And we asked you this back in January, but how much do you feel it is a benefit to have an Illinois native on staff when recruiting kids in a state?
I think it's important. Those kids want to be able to relate to something. I mean, we are far away, and I know they've had it going before me, so I'm not trying to take credit for all that. Kyle Hutter was on staff. They recruited Illinois before I got here, so I just try to, again, just keep it going, and like I said, have connections there. You go where you have connections, and that's really the main thing for me is you got to find some type of connection with the kids, and when they know that you're from the same place as them and did the same things they're doing now, it makes it a little bit easier and brings that wall down.
As we move forward toward the school year, we're creeping up on August, and then kids will start to be coming into their respective dormitories of choice. How many of the guys of the incoming freshmen are already on campus and are getting their feet wet with summer school? And who are we looking forward to really kind of break out this year as an incoming freshman?
I think we've had at some point all but maybe 4 or so on campus doing some camps and training a little bit. A couple taking summer school. So those guys have done well. They transitioned well and started getting their feet wet as far as academics and training and taking their lumps early and trying to figure things out, which is good. And that's the reason why we bring them in a little bit early so they can start to figure things out a little bit sooner. But as far as guys coming in, they're all hardworking kids. I know excited to see who makes a jump, kind of like a McGee did this year as a true freshman, and excited for him and to see the jumps he can make this year and really cementing himself as a national figure. Very early had a good national tournament. Really excited about him and seeing what jumps he can make. Not only on the mat but off the mat and things like that. We've seen it. we've seen it start to take fruition. So now it's just about him continuing to make those gains every day. So we got some good freshmen coming in. Again, they're freshmen, and we'll see who's going to cement themselves early. But we're excited about the group as a whole.
Did have a bit of a lineup shift. Alex Madrigal, another Illinois native, he transferred up north to George Mason, but coming in at that spot will be Cedarian Perry, an All-American from Eastern Michigan. Their program unfortunately dropped just days after Perry became that school's first All-American since 1998. A guy that's had modest success back and forth against Old Dominion wrestlers, a Florida native, a guy who really got hot at the tournament. He was under 500 on the season coming into the NCAA tournaments and ultimately finishes 8th, had a great tournament. As far as the prospects of bringing him on campus, what was that process like, and how sensitive did you have to be to the situation to see if Eastern was going to try to save their program, or, because when that news drops, people are probably calling him first thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, he had a lot of options, obviously, and then he whittled it down, but like you said, you had to be a little bit sensitive to the situation, not knowing what's going on. So at the end of the day, like I said before, you control what you can. And for us was, just selling him on what we had to offer as a program and, what we could do for him. And, it ended up working out in our favor. But, for him, it's been great. I couldn't wait to get him on campus, and didn't really know with the 500 record and all that stuff, exactly what we were getting. And then I got to wrestle with him, and, right away after we got done, he's got a great wrestling mind. He loves wrestling. He's very coachable. And, after wrestling him, I was like, there's a reason why he's an All-American. So that's an extremely hard feat to accomplish. And after getting hands on him and feeling him, you understand that there's a reason why he's an All-American regardless of the 500 record. So extremely excited about him. And he's on campus taking some summer classes and things like that and training. So excited to have him, and he's going to make the guys around him that much better.
A couple things that are also new with the program. New threads this year, new contract with Under Armour. So the ODU Wrestling Twitter account at ODU Wrestling dropped them out this year. Some new singlets, some alternate singlets. I mean, it seems like the kids are like kind of excited about this. How excited are you about being able to change up the look a little bit?
It's exciting. I mean, obviously things changed a little bit on staff, so I guess you kind of say ushered in a new era a little bit. But those guys had input on those singlets and, what they wanted, because obviously at the end of the day, they're the ones, performing and making the program what it is. So we got some mixed feedback on some of them, but, it's the beginning, and there'll be more singlets. So all the fans out there that don't like them, maybe we'll get a little fan voting going on in the future. So, but we like them. Yeah, new school deal with Under Armour. We're excited about that. It's pretty cool. We get a lot of sweet gear, and can't really beat Under Armour.
Yeah, I guess when I make my annual trip to campus, I'll see. Instead of hitting up Dixon now for gear, I'm gonna have to bang on your office door and be like, "Hey, alumni privilege." Yep. But it's one thing I'll say about the singlets too. Sometimes when you see them on a schematic or a proof, it doesn't quite look the same. When that is on the mat, it can sometimes have a striking difference. So especially those championship singlets, which we're looking to wear a lot more this year. As we're moving forward, talking about social media at ODU Wrestling, you are at Daryl Thomas 8025, or I'm getting what's the significant? Let's try that again. What is the significance, my friend, of the 8025?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny you asked that. So 8025, high school. I was going through all my paperwork and things for University of Illinois with my high school coach, and he was like, "Well, this is what I always did." He's like, "Why don't you use your football number?" Because I played football my freshman year, which was 80. And then he's like, "Then why don't you use your weight class at 25? 125 was my weight class my senior year." So that's where the 80-25 came from, and it just really stuck with me all the way through.
Yeah, once you got a name, it's kind of hard to shake. Like my Skype handle is still like ODU Wildman, and I graduated college like 14 years ago. So people ask, "Hey, what's your Skype handle?" I'm like, "Well, you're gonna laugh at this because I set it up like a year after I graduated." So yeah. Excellent. Words out there.
Dixon's is like what is it? Big Mike Dixon at gmail.yahoo.com or something.
I worked with a guy. Worked with a guy at USA Wrestling, and he's probably 8-9 years younger than me. His was like Big Papa Pump something. It's like a Scott Steiner reference. But yeah, it's funny how those handles. And the thing is, once you got the blue check mark, for example, you change your name, you lose the blue check mark. So you got to be careful with those names. So once Daryl Thomas is like verified via Twitter, you're stuck with it. But moving forward with the responsibilities, anything you can kind of leak about scheduling events that are going to be coming to the TED or special events that alumni can pay attention to regarding alumni weekends and things of that nature?
We haven't lined out exactly which weekends are going to be, alumni weekend or kind of our dressed up events yet. We do have a very tough schedule, solid schedule. I know we have, as always, NC State on the schedule, and Missouri. I think those are both in November. But we got a new tournament on the schedule. We're going to be heading out to Reno this year, which is exciting. So take our guys out there to experience that. We're excited about that. And then this year we actually host the MAC championship. So we're very excited about that, to have that at home.
Now, is that a Saturday or is that a Sunday?
MAC championships. That's a good question. I got to look at the schedule.
Because here's the thing, because conference weekend for you wrestling fans out there, and the NCAA Division IIIs are in Roanoke this year, and the ACCs are in Blacksburg, and the MACs are at Old Dominion. So, wrestling fans, you have options based on where you live in the part of the state. So if the MAC is on Saturday, Sunday, I might be able to be just completely stupid and drive 4 hours across the state to check out the MAC before I fly back. Or because the Big Ten, get this, Daryl, the Big Tens are 10 minutes from my house this year. They're at Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
And I've never been to a Big Ten tournament.
Wow.
What kind of wacky calendar is this? They got to consult me before they book these things, man. I'll set them straight. But that's good to know, because the last time the conferences were supposed to be at Old Dominion, it was a bit of a cluster, and we don't necessarily want to revisit that particular situation. But looking forward to seeing how the Monarchs will host the MACs this year. But any final thoughts as you're getting ready to read your nuptials and start a life of wedded bliss?
No, we're excited about some of the 2019s that we're recruiting. We've got a few commitments already that we're very excited about. Looking to make this hopefully a top 20 to top 25 class. Want to get that out there, and then the other thing too, we got to make sure that we get a birthday shout out for myself and Steve Martin. We share the same birthday, August 1st, so that's on Wednesday.
August 1st. Mine's the 20th, so I got 19 days.
Nice.
So, Daryl, I will wish you the best on actually honeymoon plans. Where are you going? Wrestling tournament?
No honeymoon this year. We are going to go to Outer Banks in October, but just a lot of logistical stuff, getting her moved down there, and obviously the new position. So, a lot going on, and we're going to wait till next year to do a honeymoon. I say I spent like 3 or 4 days of my honeymoon in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, cleaning up my rental property, which was my house. So, I kind of wish I might have deferred that for a year later. But anyway, Daryl, congratulations on the upcoming wedding, and I wish you and your family and the growing family the best of luck, and we'll see you down the line. All right, thanks, Jason.
Show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.